Good evening and welcome. My name is Hannah, and this is Into the Hollow. On this show, I talk about cases and encounters involving the paranormal and the bizarre. If you have had any strange experiences or encounters with the unknown and would like to share, please contact me at intothehollow@protonmail.com. Tonight's case is on the Hammersmith ghost murder. Warning, this episode contains graphic descriptions of death and murder. Discretion is advised. How many cases do you know of where people were actually attacked by a ghost? This case was so profound that it changed the legal precedents in the UK regarding self-defense. Our story is set in the Hammersmith area of London in 1803. Starting in November of 1803, people in the Hammersmith area reported witnessing and even being attacked by a ghost. The spirit was said to have been the ghost of a man who had committed suicide and was laid to rest in the local churchyard. The belief at that time was that victims of suicide should not be placed in hallowed ground, as it would cause their souls to wander restlessly. The spirit took on two forms, depending on who was interviewed. Sometimes he appeared as a tall man dressed in white, emitting a strange glow, and other times wearing a calfskin garment with horns and large glass eyes. It was said to show aggressive behavior and would chase anyone who neared it and would physically assault them. A woman passed through the churchyard where the spirit's body was laid to rest. The ghost appeared and grabbed her tightly, causing the woman to faint and then die a few days later. It is unknown where she was grabbed by the ghost. Two other female victims died from fright as well. One, an elderly woman who had been knocked to the ground by the spirit. The other was a young pregnant woman who was attacked. However, it is unknown the manner of attack. A man named Brewer Thomas Groom reported that while walking through the churchyard with a companion one night around 9 p.m., the ghost had grabbed him by the throat and tried to choke him from behind a tombstone. He later said, quote, "I saw nothing. I gave a bit of a push out with my fist and felt something soft, like a great coat." He managed to neither faint nor die. On another occasion, the spirit came out of the darkness in front of a carriage. The driver hopped off the coach and ran for his life in a panic. I certainly hope that the coach wasn't occupied by passengers. It is possible that this man could have fainted or died. However, I may have made that up. William Girdler, a night watchman, actually chased the ghost, only to have it vanish before him into the night. Another account, interestingly, had that the apparition, quote, threw off its shroud and managed to escape. People were terrified, and an air of panic descended upon the locals. Citizens formed armed patrols to defend their streets and fainting women from the horrible spirit that haunted their town. The people were split between those who believed they were dealing with the supernatural and those who believed they were dealing with a human criminal. On January 3rd, 1804, a 29-year-old member of the neighborhood watch named Francis Smith was patrolling the area around 10:30 p.m. He was armed with a shotgun and hoped to encounter and apprehend the criminal who was behind the attacks. Just past 11 p.m., a man named Thomas Millwood was walking home from visiting his sister and parents. He was a bricklayer and wore the normal uniform of his trade: white linen trousers, a white flannel waistcoat, and a white apron. I'm sure you can see where this is going. Millwood's sister overheard Smith shout at her brother saying, quote, "Damn you, who are you and what are you? Damn you, I'll shoot you." After this, she heard a gunshot. Smith was quickly apprehended by a constable, and Millwood's body was taken to a nearby inn, where a surgeon examined him and determined, quote, "a gunshot wound on the left side of the lower jaw with small shot, about size number 4, one of which had penetrated the vertebrae of the neck and injured the spinal marrow." Smith was tried in court for the murder of Thomas Millwood. He reported that he had acted in self-defense. Millwood's wife testified at the proceedings, saying, quote, "On Saturday evening, he and I were at home, for he lived with me. He said he had frightened 2 ladies and a gentleman who were coming along the terrace in a carriage. For that, the man said, he dared to say, "There goes the ghost." That said he was no more than a ghost than he was, and asked him, using a bad word, did he want a punch of the head? I begged of him to change his dress. "Thomas," says I, "as there is a piece of work about the ghost, and your clothes look white, pray do put on your great coat, that you may not run any danger." The victim's sister testified that Smith had not given her brother a chance to respond before shooting him. And the chief judge had these remarks to the jury, quote, "I should betray my duty and injure the public security if I did not persist in asserting that this is a clear case of murder, if the facts be proved to your satisfaction. All killing whatever amounts to murder unless justified by the law or in self-defense. In cases of some involuntary acts or some sufficiently violent provocation, it becomes manslaughter. Not one of these circumstances occur here." Smith was found guilty, and the initial sentence of hanging and dissection were commuted to a year's hard labor. Interestingly, the ghost's identity was supposedly discovered. John Graham was an elderly shoemaker who had been pretending to be a ghost by using a white sheet to frighten his apprentice. However, it is unknown if this is the real culprit, due to the assaults that had taken place to which he did not admit to. There is no record of punishment. The question of whether acting on a mistaken belief was a good enough defense to a criminal charge was debated until November 1983, almost a century later. It was found that if one honestly acted under a mistaken belief, that they were not guilty. Now, the Hammersmith ghost may have only been a man. However, it is said that the spirit of Thomas Millwood now hangs around the street he was murdered at. He is known to scare passerby with strange noises and manifestations. The irony is that a fake ghost created a real one, and the man who was assumed to be the ghost has become one after all. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed learning about this case, and I want to thank you for journeying with me into the hollow. Until next time, good night.